Hello there. Welcome back to the TTP Field Manual podcast. Joshy and Johnny are here today. How are you, Johnny?
Oh, I'm doing all right, and I'm here. That's a good thing. We're here to talk about some chaos stuff.
It's
going to be fantastic.
That is a good thing. Yeah, what are we going to talk about today in particular, Mr. Man?
Oh, we're going to my home, my favorite place to be. Talking about the Eye of Terror and the datasheets that were released alongside it. Going to talk about some Chaos Space Marines today.
And some Mad Mech. And some Space Marines, because you can't not have a Space Marine inclusion.
Oh, and there's also that Imperial Knight as well, right?
Sure. No, I put it in the Ad Mech list, remember?
Oh.
Johnny, it feels like we haven't recorded an episode in ages.
That's because we haven't.
Wow, that's crazy. Crazy for that.
That's all right. These things happen.
These things happen. But we are now well into the third end of edition supplementive set, Eye of Terror. You remember when 500 Worlds got announced and we thought, oh, we're going to be like so busy. And now we're in the back half, just like that.
It's crazy to think that we've only got 2 months left in this edition.
Right?
Although, to be fair, with the end of edition stuff, we haven't really been playing a lot.
That is true. We've gone to a bit of a different hobby.
A side hobby. In the meantime, we have played a lot of
hobby Vice. That is true. I think Zach said he's probably played about 40 to 50 games in the last year alone.
Yeah. I think it would be cool to do one last big hurrah, like a big game, maybe pull out the Armageddon, the Apocalypse supplement or something like that.
We combine them all. We combine all of them.
To like end the edition.
What we do, Johnny, we run Apocalypse-sized games, adding the Armored Gauntlet vehicle rules from the upcoming Armageddon Yarrick box set.
Oh, yeah.
We then stuffed the armies full of Crucible of Champions in the Raid and Ruin loot tables, but it's all happening per the Vashtorr front campaign, and we all just take a week off and do nothing but play 40k.
Take a week off. Good luck convincing the rest of the table to go alongside that plan.
If you're playing a War on the Vashtorr front with that much stuff stuffed in, you'll get through like one game a day.
That's right. On top of that, we can add some Crusade rules, right?
Oh yeah, one last hurrah of our favourite way to play.
Well, some of our favourite way to play.
What's your favourite way to play?
Oh, I feel like I've been a big advocate of the smaller games like boarding actions and that sort of vibe. I'm a big fan of the smaller games just because they're a little bit more manageable.
Like Combat Patrol.
What do I want out of 11th edition? Fix Combat Patrol.
Well, in 2 to 3 months, when we get our hands on rules, we'll find out if that will happen or not.
Honestly, all they have to do is treat it like Spearhead, and I will be more than happy.
Speaking of Spearhead, they just got a fantastic new little box.
Not quite edition. The next release.
With cards and a game board. True. That's what I meant to say. Just do that. Just copy Spearhead. But here today to talk about Eye of Terror in this little data drop episode format we do where we review datasheets and detachments.
Damn straight.
Pretty self-explanatory. Damn straight. I assume you'd like to jump in to the Iron Within, Iron Without corner of the Warhammer.
Yeah, we got to start with my boys, right? Got to start with the amazing new models that we got, including
Craven Moon.
Kravek Morne, or as I call him, Craven all the time accidentally.
Yeah, you do.
Mate, it's such a complicated name, all right? Kravek Morne.
I mean, you're replacing an N with a K. Is it that complicated?
Man, this dude has a 50 mil base. Is that crazy or what for a dude?
He's pretty thick.
Yeah, I mean, he's in Terminator plate, right?
Overall, Iron Warrior little supplement. Hot or cold?
Mixed. Mixed is the best way I can put it. Like, I think the models are absolutely fantastic. I think they did a really good job, but they very much focused on the flesh metal of Defilers and Mutilators, but then didn't quite... Like, it would have been nice if they built the Mutilator kit to also build Obliterators.
Yeah, like a new dual kit option.
Then they could have just separated out Venom Crawlers on their own so that all the people that want Venom Crawlers can get Venom Crawlers easier. That would have been my favorite thing for them to do, and I would have liked an update to at least like one of the tanks, maybe like a Predator upgrade or, something just to show that they do like vehicles,
Oh, imagine a souped up modern day Iron Warrior sculpted Vindicator.
Imagine they built a Rhino chassis dual kit with an updated Rhino that doesn't look like a small brick.
Metal box.
But then just include the options to make the different CSM / I guess Imperial Rhino chassis vehicles. You can build your Predators, you can build your Vindicator, you can build your Rhino all in one kit. That thing would sell like hotcakes.
Yeah, when they did Red Corsairs, they released more for Red Corsairs than I was expecting.
Yeah.
I thought we'd just get Huron, right? We'd just get Huron, maybe another epic hero.
That was a huge release.
But we got a whole command squad, a whole unit, a captain, upgrade sprue, which benefits 3 different units in Legionaries, Traitor Guard, and Terminators. That's cool. It's really cool. They had their own little box set book thing, which we covered in Maelstrom. And then they're like Iron Warriors with this big teaser trailer and Perturabo rumors. I'm thinking, damn, they're going to do like a really big wave. Iron Warriors are, they're OG.
They are.
They've been around forever. They need love. They've been getting heaps of hype. Iron Warriors now have their own little sub page in the Warhammer official shop under Chaos Space Marine, much like any other of the CSM fellows that have their own little models. That's great, but it's Kravek Morne, who is cool. Don't get me wrong, it's a really good sign of model design to come. But then, as you said, fleshmetal and Defiler, which is CSM in general, that's great. Iron Warriors are weapons dealers for all CSM. But then their upgrade sprue for Legionaries, again, looks really cool. Doesn't create them any new units, which I thought was a little peculiar.
Yeah, I would have really liked, honestly, if they didn't go down the vehicle route, I would have been perfectly happy with a new Terminator model, like Terminator squad, and maybe like a Breacher style squad, like a battle line unit for Iron Warriors.
Yeah.
Like Breachers with like shotgun style and
I think that would have been great.
shields, or even just bolter and shield would have been fantastic. That would have looked so cool.
Have you been looking at Heresy, Johnny?
More than you would know.
I can presume.
Yeah. I kind of want some breaches.
Yeah.
Just so that I can run them as chosen for Iron Warriors.
Yeah. But for the Iron Warriors in 40k, I had such, copium.
Yeah.
That when they were announcing week by week, here's Kravek Morne, here's Combat Patrol Iron Warriors, here's Mutilators, Defiler. I was thinking, you know what? Next week, it's going to be a new Hellbrute. So overdue. New Hellbrute.
Oh, man. Don't even
Because Hellbrute too small.
start me on Hellbrute.
It's vanilla Space Marines, Dreadnoughts, little brother from another mother 30 years ago or whatever.
Yeah, man.
New Hellbrute. But no, which is weird because Hellbrute, I think, is, besides a Defiler, the next logical replacement for their vehicle lineup. And Iron Warriors are the fellows who make them. They summon the demons with the word bearers and then corral the demons into a metallic harness, or they possess Marine while they got big armor on. That's their whole jam. Where was the Hellbrute?
Where was the Hellbrute?
Oh, yeah. But, new edition on the horizon. I'm sure they're cooking up some more stuff for everyone to receive. Wouldn't be surprised, to be honest, if we get a Hellbrute in the next year or two anyway.
No. The next year or two is when I want Perturabo.
They just randomly drop them. Like they put Fulgrim in. They're like, oh, by the way, Fulgrim.
Oh, by the way, new supplement is Iron Warriors. This is your new army for Chaos Space Marine.
Oh, wait, so we got 2 Imperial Primarchs, Guilliman and Lion. We have 4 of the, Mono God cult faction Demon Primarchs. If we're getting Perturabo as well, which he may appear, he may not, maybe he's just at home playing 5D chess with the Imperium and all the stuff in the Eye of Terror book that we'll talk about one day. Who's the next Imperium Primarch? Because you can't just have 2 and then 5,
Come
right?
on. That is so obvious. It's not even slightly funny.
It's Russ. You're thinking Russ?
Bring back Dawn. Let the rivalry ensue.
Dawn makes a lot of sense, but logistically, I think it would be more sensible for Vulcan or Russ.
It sure would, but
because
fuck, it'd be funny.
They're guaranteed alive. It would be quite funny. I saw someone do a kit bash of I don't know which Primarch it was, but it was basically like, hey, this is my vision for a 40k Dawn Primarch. And it was Dawn, but he had been Black Templarified because by this point he has lost his faith in the old ways of the Imperium and is just in this scorched earth policy. Like, I don't care anymore. I tried my best. This is where we are at. Let's just bring it all to the ground.
Imagine they bring Dawn back and it's a Black Templars model. That'd be fucking hilarious. No yellow for you, mate.
So you've got the Eye of Terror supplement at home. Have you read the last page in the lore?
No, not yet. I haven't started on the lore stuff yet. That is for a later.
True. But can we just talk about the teaser real quick? So in the first two of these supplements, paints this picture that the Ordo Astartes are mobilizing against Guilliman, right?
Yep.
Nope, not this one. This one is a bunch of logic people and astropaths, whatever, basically convening all of the Iron Warrior stuff to First Captain Lysander, Imperial Fist guy.
Yeah.
Essentially, the passage ends with this sort of notion that all the successors of Dawn will be called to defend against the Iron Warriors. All the successors of Dawn. That is Crimson Fists, that's Black Templars, that's Executioners, that's so many others. You might be not too surprised if we do get a Dawn.
Yeah, and I think it's really fitting that we have, obviously, Perturabo attempting a siege on Terra, or an attempt at a siege on Terra, and who else would defend Terra than the man who built the castle himself? It would be the thing that would call Dawn back from whatever vengeance ensuing plot that he's on.
Do you not know what happened to Dawn?
Not really, no.
Do you want to know?
Sure. Where's Dawn?
So
all I know is he's MIA.
In the hundreds of years post Siege of Terra, a lot of the Imperial Primarchs obviously went off on their little side quests, shattered morale, guilt, shame, all that stuff. Dawn had just done so much that he was exhausted.
He retired.
And obviously...
He retired to his holiday home.
You would think. But I'm fairly certain that what was the last known thing about Dawn was written before a lot of the recent Siege of Terra stuff, Scouring stuff. So take it with a grain of salt. They could really change it up. But basically Dawn went on this sort of crusade where he was just hunting down traitors and they boarded a Black Legion vessel only for the Black Legion fellows to have the upper hand, and Dawn was last seen being dragged into the shadowy bowels of the ship. And since that moment, only his hands, like his Imperial Fists, had been actually found. Like his actual severed arms, and then all the chapter masters of the Imperial Fist scrimshaw their name onto the bones of his hands in their hall.
I mean, losing hands isn't exactly a death sentence in 40k.
No, but it's a pretty rough place to be, isn't it?
It is, but I mean, the Imperial Fists can be made of metal now.
Fleshmetal, Johnny! Shall we talk some Iron Warriors?
Ooh, imagine Perturabo shows up and he's like a fleshmetal fusion of Perturabo and Dawn.
Oh, he just ate his brother in the warp womb.
Oh, that would be grotty, but also very cool.
Yuck.
But no, let's talk about some models.
Unlike Craven Morne, who's not very yuck.
Yeah,
Kravek Morne, he's not very yuck. He's very cool, actually.
He's very clean, right?
I like his model a lot.
Yep, same.
Very imposing.
Yeah, eventually I'll pick one up.
I thought this was a Warpsmith, like a new Warpsmith. And then they said, nope, it's Iron Warriors Epic. And I thought, well, really?
I mean, technically he is a Warpsmith.
Crazy for that. You know what I mean? Like a generic new Warpsmith. One that's not on an oval base.
One that's not on an oval base.
All right, Mr. Chaos Marine fan and player. How does he do? How's Kravek Morne go in the list, in the faction? What do you think?
Kravek Morne? He's a cool dude. What do you mean?
Yeah, does he earn his place? Does he have his merits? Or is he a little underbaked? Is he overcooked? What is he?
I think he has a home, for sure. I think his biggest issue is he's built as a leading character, but the things he lead aren't really things he wants to lead. I think he himself is fantastic fantastic. His melee profile is crazy with a strength 10, 2 AP, 2 damage, devastating wounds weapon. The last argument and power fist are very good. He's definitely a melee guy, and he can lead Mutilators, Obliterators, and Chaos Terminators. Problem is, Chaos Terminators aren't fantastic. Mutilators we will get to very soon when we talk about them. He doesn't really go well with Obliterators because they want to be at range and he really wants to punch. But his actual abilities are pretty cool. So he does give the +1 AP to the closest eligible target, which is very good, turning that last argument into an AP3 weapon. And he does have at the start of the battle, select a unit from your opponent's army, and you get to reroll the wound roll against that target, and you get to reselect a new target. So it's kind of like half a Oath of moment, you know?
It's like reverse Oath because it's not rerolling hits, it's wounds.
Yeah.
It's quite gnarly.
Like, it is actually really, really strong, and I really like him. The problem is...
It's gnarly.
He's 120 points, and Terminators are 180 points.
Do the Terminators buff him? Do they offer him anything in particular?
Not really. I mean, they kind of do. The whole thing is because he gives reroll wounds, the Terminators can give reroll hits. So you can end up with
It's pretty spicy.
a very strong unit. But the cost is insane. Like, you're paying 300 points to have 5 Terminators and Kravek Morne.
Why stop there? Go to 10 model unit. Make it a 480 points.
So 480 points, a quarter of your army locked in one unit.
Yeah. Apocalypse time, baby.
Yeah, you know when you do that? You do that in one of the new detachments. As I said, he has a home.
It's a good home.
I think his best bet is to go with Terminators because the Mutilators are 200 points for 3 and they don't really give anything to him. But, you know, this guy is fantastic. The problem is he's competing in a similar status to what we already have as very strong epic heroes for CSM that can lead Chosen, who are objectively a better unit than Terminators. But when we talk about Warpstrike champions, hot damn, do I like the idea of a 10 squad of Terminators with Kravek Morne uppy-downying all over the battlefield.
Yeah, it's pretty spicy.
Yeah. But no, I think this guy is very good. And I will definitely be running him in lists, but running him in a very specific way. If this guy could lead Chosen, I'd probably be a lot bigger on him.
Yeah, that's fair. I think he does have some good merits. I think he would be having to skew more into the Warpstrike Champions playstyle and the really outlined Iron Warrior playstyle with the fleshmetal and the Terminators.
Yeah.
Which is cool if you like those stuff. I do like that he's got 2 abilities that work relatively independently of each other. Headlong Destruction for the +1 AP. That's good. You know, that guarantees a melee proc of AP3.
Yeah.
Technically. So that last argument
is very cooked.
And the Architect of Ruin, you could put that on someone and the Terminators just go off and deal with it themselves. Like, he doesn't have to lead a Terminator squad for Architect of Ruin to go off, which is good.
No, you don't need to. The thing is, you don't need to lead for either of his.
But yeah, it is a bit expensive. True.
Like, you can run this guy on his own as just like a deep striking single character that just comes in and hits something. But the problem is, if he fails his charge, he gets blown off the board.
Yeah, I was expecting him to be a little bit tougher, hey?
Yeah, at the end of the day, he's only a Terminator with 6 wounds.
All right, not bad. Should we have a little peek now into his fleshmetal attaches?
We definitely should. So, in the same supplement, we obviously got Mutilators and the Defiler. We'll talk about the Mutilators first. They are 200 points for 3. They have a very similar vibe to the Obliterators in that they have one profile that has one weapon that has 3 profiles, but this one is a melee one instead of a ranged weapon. The idea is that their flesh metal weapons can alter and change to whatever they are fighting. So you get
sick.
Yeah, you get like the sweep profile, you get like a medium like heavy infantry profile, and then you get like an anti-tank profile. My big issue with this is you get these 3 profiles, but you don't get any keywords to help.
Yeah, I'm noticing that.
I mean, you do have Dark Pacts, which is always something to consider. Like, you can add those on later, but they themselves have no keywords whatsoever and very few actual keywords. Like, there's no grenades. There's nothing like that. They're just infantry, chaos, demon, mutilator. Their ability is crushing charge, which allows them to reroll charges, and they also get a mortal wound bomb on the charge, which is very nice. Don't get me wrong. These guys are cool. They're neat. But they do only have a 5-inch movement. So you are deep striking and then re-rolling that charge to get them in. And I can see a world where maybe you really want them with Kravek just to guarantee his charge roll after deep strike, if you are focusing completely in on Kravek. But I just feel like you're better off with the Terminators to have a few more wounds / bodies. And honestly, Terminators can actually kill something, whereas these guys are a little weird, but there are 3.
I think they're a bit swingy.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, like, even their big heavy attack is 6 attacks with a strength 12 AP4 D6 plus 2 weapon. So they do have a las cannon in melee, except you get 6 of them after they mortal wound bomb.
I'm even looking at the rending strikes. The 4 attacks each hits on 3s, 9, 3, 3. That is pretty good. You'll be wounding Marines on 2s and a lot of other factions unit infantry on 2s, some lighter vehicles on 3s and 4s, and that's 3 AP. Not much is going to save that if there's no invulnerable to speak of.
Yeah.
3 damage. Terminators are just... It's pretty good.
But here's my big problem. If you put Kravek with them, they get +1 AP. 3 to 4 AP is not doing anything. 4 to 5 AP is not doing anything. At this point, you're on invuln saves anyway, and most of the things you want these guys to kill have an invuln save.
True that.
And this is why I'm like, yeah, on their own, maybe you take a unit, but you're probably not putting them with Kravek because he just doesn't do enough that they don't already cover themselves. These guys are cool. My problem is at 200 points, you're almost at a 10 blob of Chosen, or you're at 2 units of Legionaries.
Which is the big rub.
Yeah. Or, like, 200 points for this unit is a lot of points. And I definitely see a home for them, and I think they're good, but...
Yeah, they're pretty overcosted.
I just think they're a little overpriced for what they are.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
Because once they hit that battlefield, they have a 5-inch move.
That's a little rude, isn't it?
So once they kill whatever they need to kill, that's their whole game plan done.
You never know. Maybe they survive. Maybe your opponent lets them live.
And then it takes them 2 or 3 turns to get to the next target.
You just got to pray that someone's in 10 to 11 inches away and you can re-roll the charge and get lucky, you know?
Yeah, right. You got to pray that your opponent didn't see you deep strike him in and go, okay, we're just going to leave.
It will either be, that's a decent chunk of your army that I might be able to get through with some devastating wounds. They do have a lot of wounds.
They do.
Granted, and high toughness, granted. Bolters won't really do much here. But if you do have access to like high damage outputs, they might just be fish in a barrel.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, despite being a tough bunch of cookies.
Yeah.
At least with their gun cousins, the Obliterators, you're hiding them usually off to the side or in the back.
I agree. Yep.
Oh my god, Obliterators have their own decent enough melee profile. You could just take more of them.
Right?
Did you want to have a quick mention of Obliterators to sort of show another part of Kravek Morne's little game plan?
Sure. So Obliterators, they're a datasheet we already have. They're 40 points cheaper than the Mutilators and can get in melee or ranged. And this is where we really start to see why Mutilators are a little overpriced. And they also have the ability to get indirect fire. And that indirect fire is nothing to scoff at when their weapons are very... They can pack a punch and they actually have keywords built in. And this is where I was like, why do the Obliterators get... So they also have 3 profiles, but these are ranged profiles. They have a melter profile, a blast profile, and a sustained hits profile. D6 plus 3 attacks with sustained hits and probably lethal hits because of Dark Pacts is nothing to scoff at, especially if paired with Kravek Morne. Going from AP1 to AP2 is significantly better than going from AP2 to 3. And their melter profile is okay as well, although you do have to be within 9 inches to use it, which is a little rough.
Pretty rough.
But no, these guys are they're an interesting little mob, and they also have access to deep strike, meaning that, you know, you can deep strike in and still use your cool guns, and then if you happen to get locked into melee, they still can punch with a 9 strength 2 AP 2 damage attack. And I just feel like these are a better body for Kravek Morne if you wanted to like keep him a little bit more alive until he can get in. Although you only get 2 of them instead of 3 for 160 points.
Yeah, they've always been a bit more of a fringe pick or a niche pick, eh?
Yeah, and there have definitely been lists that are running multiple units of these in recent times, but they run them in the back line. They're using them to kind of like pick off guys in that like middle to front line of your opponent's forces.
Well, those are very cool. Would you like to give them a little score out of 10, Johnny?
Kravek Morne, I would
Kravek and the two fleshes?
probably give like an A+, maybe an A.
An A+.
No, I'd probably say an A. Let's say an A. I think he's good, but he's no Fabius Bile, I'm sorry.
Nobody is.
That man is cool. The Mutilators, I would probably give a B, and I'd probably give the Obliterators a B+. What about you? How do you feel about these three?
I'd concur with that.
Yeah?
I'd concur with that. I don't know too much about the internal balance of CSM. They all released their rulebooks before we started covering them a little bit more in depth, and I know they're your wheelhouse, so I don't need to really think too much about them, if I'm being honest.
As a player of CSM, I think that their internal balance is pretty good. It's definitely on the better side, especially for a codex that came out so early in the edition.
Yeah, everything you try with that faction tends to do well.
Yeah.
And also surprisingly well, whether it's offense or defense.
There's a few big misses in the codex that are just like, they just don't do what you want them to do. Or there's something that does it better at a cheaper price. But for the most part, you've got a lot of options. This is a very toolkitty army.
I'm a big fan of the Detonator.
Oh, same.
Oh, Alpha Legion. Speaking of, when are they going to get a model? Come on.
Man, people have been arcing on about this model they're supposed to get for the book release for ages, and it just hasn't happened.
Oh,
like there was that
Harrow
one
Master.
spoiler. There was that one spoiler that they revealed in their little weekly showcase
Yeah, the Pale Spear
ages ago, and people were like, it looks like the Pale Spear. Where is it?
is the Pale Spear.
Yeah, but they're
Oh.
like, who has it? What's going on? And they just haven't touched that spoiler since, and that was like a year ago.
You know, it's either Solomon Akara, the guy who now has had his second novel, and he's the sort of modern face of the Alpha Legion,
Yeah.
or it's just a new model for Alfarius for the Heresy.
Yeah. But again, we just don't know yet. Hey, you want to talk about a really cool guy?
But yeah, Kravek Morne, I like. We're going to say Defiler. Yeah, I was just going to say, I like Kravek Morne's real straightforward approach to gameplay. I like that Iron Warriors are just a bit of a no-nonsense way of playing. It's just, as one would say, good, honest Warhammer.
Yep, it definitely is.
It's just rerolls and adding pips of numbers to your stat lines. That's it.
Yep.
And that's very good. I'm very pleased with that. The fleshmetal stuff, I see the price and I think, maybe not for me. But again, the Warpstrike detachment, I do like. So,
We'll get there.
we'll get there. But yeah, Defiler time, baby.
Man, oh man, did they do this thing justice. You ready to talk about
Yikes.
5 different data sheets right now?
They're like pretty similar except for an ability, right?
They changed the ability around, yes. But
the same loadouts?
yes, but it is definitely relevant because some of
Sure.
them are better than others.
Man, this new model though. The new model though.
It's so
It's so good.
freaking cool, dude. What a cool model.
It's presently my contender for model of the year.
Wow, that's a big claim.
Presently, we got a few more months. We got like 2/3 of the year.
We have
Who
a
knows?
whole edition to go.
This year, we got 8 more months, 8 to 9 more months of releases and announcements. Who knows?
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, it's so good. It's so cool. I love it. They did it justice. The original Defiler
They sure did.
was one of the first models I ever saw in shops when I was first becoming aware of Warhammer. I had the catalogue of miniatures that I would pour through most days as a young boy. And then I was in a random bookstore and they had just this shelf of Warhammer stuff. And right there faced out was this Defiler. And I was like, man, that's cool. But at that time, I was a stupid Imperium sympathizer and thought Chaos was a little bit too much.
Man,
Oh, how the tables have turned. I love the new Defiler. It's fantastic.
they did so much to glow this guy up. Oh man, absolutely adore this model, and I need to get my hands on a couple.
How much is it going for?
Oh, in Oz, I'm not 100% sure.
To our best friends, not sponsored, Gap Games.
Oh, I was going to the official website. You've you're probably better off looking there as well.
Well, you see the original price as well.
True.
I just find it harder to skim through the Warhammer shop at this stage.
245 Oz from Warhammer.
Is that
so
comparative too much?
Almost a point per dollar.
That's crazy, considering Mutilators.
Hey, Mutilators are $118 Oz.
Well, they are chunk, aren't they? But yeah, $1. We're getting into... We're starting to toe into the AdMech territory. Starting to.
We'll get there. But it is a very cool centerpiece.
Tell me about Defiler.
The Defiler is cracked. This is... They took...
That's the review. It's cracked.
It is cracked. It's 250 points and it's still amazing. I'm still like, I probably want 2 of them in most lists.
Same.
It has a 12-inch movement, toughness 11, 18 wounds, and a 5-up in bond save. So it's already like a fantastic tank. And then you just have so many options. It comes with a battle cannon, 2 excruciators, a missile launcher, a flamer, and its claws by default. And almost all of these can be swapped out for something else if you want. Your battle cannon can be a plasma gun. Your excruciator cannons can be magma cutters, which are melters. Your flamer can be a las cannon, an auto cannon, or a melee profile. And your missile...
With extra attacks.
Yep. And your missile launcher can be a las cannon, auto cannon, or electro scourge.
That's very good.
So it's like you get to choose between a couple of its body weapons, and you've got relative freedom of its arms. On top of that, it has a Deadly Demise D6 and the Scuttling Walkers, which is on all of them, which allows it to normal advance and fallback move through terrain features, which is so much better than the old Scuttling Walkers where it had to go over terrain features. Now it can just go straight through them, which is better.
Mm-hmm.
The guns on this are very good. You can have 2 las cannons potentially with 2 shots each. So 4 las cannon shots if you want, on top of having, either the Ectoplasma Destructor, which is a strength 12, 3 AP, 3 damage weapon, or the battle cannon, which shoots more but has a little less strength and AP. Your excruciator cannon is a strength 6, 1 AP, 2 damage weapon, or can be a melter, which is only a 12-inch melter. So it's not fantastic, but if you're going for like a melee-ish build with this, where you bring a Scourge, maybe you bring the melters just to really punch up. Well, this guy is fantastic.
Pretty spicy.
And then each of the 5 different Defilers, depending on which cult faction or CSM you go for, has a different ability that they've keyed on. But they all, I believe, let me just double check, sit at 250 points currently. That is correct.
I think one of them might be a little more expensive, but I'm not sure. I have a
if things have changed,
feeling Emperor's Children is a little more.
Yeah, they may have changed since then. Currently on Wahapedia, they're all the same.
Okay, I totally could be wrong.
Yeah.
I know that they were different price pointed before the new model, that's for certain. But I do have their unique abilities in front of me, if you would like me to quickly run through them.
I also have them in front of me, don't you worry.
All right.
So CSM have reroll wound rolls of 1 when you make a Dark Pact, and once per battle, you can overcharge your Demon Forge, where if you fail the test, you'll take max mortal wounds instead of D3, but you also can reroll the wound rolls. So once per game, you can turn this cracked shooting machine into an even more cracked shooting machine. And if you're anything like me, you don't fail your Dark Pact, so you're not worried about the extra mortal wounds.
God, you are so cracked with that. I've never seen anyone pass so many saves or so many leadership tests. It's insane. Zinch, your Zinch is chosen.
For sure, my friend, for sure. But no, this is amazing. Having an extra reroll wound roll 1s anytime you do a Dark Pact, which you're going to be doing twice a turn probably, is really good, especially when you look at some of these strength profiles. Everything on this guy's profile is at least strength 5.
Yeah, it's really good, Johnny. It's really good.
And then when you really need to punish something, you can just be like, now I reroll all wound rolls. I like this guy.
And that's for CSM.
That's just CSM.
It's really good. Shall I have a brief mention of the alternatives, and you tell me what you think?
The alternatives
for the other cult factions.
Sure.
There is a plane flying overhead at the moment. If that's coming through, I apologize. If not, well, now you know.
Now you'll be looking for it.
But now you'll be looking for the plane above my house. So for Death Guard, they get the Barrage of Filth. In your shooting phase, after this model is shot, select one enemy unit hit by one or more of those attacks, and you just strip them of their cover benefit, which can be good in a relatively low AP army. You might forget about it, but depending on how datasheets carry over, we're going to be looking at a lot more of a in-terrain focused game in the next edition in a couple of months' time. So keep your eyes and ears open to Ignore's cover abilities, I'd say.
Yeah, I think it currently in this edition, this is probably on the lower side of the Defiler's abilities. But, I mean, never underestimate how strong cover can be. Like, stripping an AP off and this just cancelling that out can be very good. In the next edition, when cover actually hits your hit rolls, I think this could be very strong for when you really need to get someone off a point, because all of your points are going to be terrain focused, meaning you've probably got the benefit of cover while you're on that terrain.
Mm-hmm.
Like, all your objectives basically building in cover is going to be very strong in the next edition, and I think this could definitely step up. But currently in this edition, it's on the lower end for a Defiler ability. I'd rather have reroll wound rolls.
Yeah, I think overall the CSM version is in pretty much most situations the best ability, but there are definitely play lines with the other factions versions. And I just mentioned a plane, but now I'm also having a train go by.
Oh my god. Well, while you're getting trained, another thing to mention is if this is still at the same price point as the regular Defiler, and most of its weapons do also gain lethal hit. That is relevant.
That is true.
Because it gets them for free.
Really? That is worth considering.
I am a little surprised that they didn't also get like the baked in +1 toughness that a lot of Death Guard get, but it would have been very strong then instead of on the weaker side.
Can't let Death Guard be too good. They're never too strong.
Yeah, man. Imagine this thing at toughness 12. Oh, that's a chaos knight.
It's a filthy Death Guard machine. But look, we got next up Emperor's Children.
Talk about
They have the Revel in Desecration.
EC.
EC,
baby.
They have Revel in Desecration. Each time this model makes an attack that targets an enemy unit that is not below half strength, you can add one to the hit roll.
Sure do. Which could be very relevant for this faction. They have a lot of things that care about like damaged units, and this is kind of like something they play around with a little bit. And getting +1 to hit on that first hit would be really good. You're bringing it from hitting on 3s to hitting on 2s, which when you're firing 4 las cannons could make a difference.
It's worth pointing out that the Emperor's Children keyword that they love so much, precision, is on the strike profile of the shearing claws.
Yep, just the one weapon though, which is crazy to me.
Just a strength 16 AP3 D6 +1. That's the weapon that has precision.
Yep. For when you really need to kill that character.
Shite. Yeah.
Which is pretty relevant. Imagine 5 attacks hitting on 2s with strength 16. Like hitting on 2s, wounding on 2s. Like this guy can kill a character for sure.
Obviously Warhammer is a bit theater of the mind. You want to play with your cool toys that are from the story that you thought was really cool, and then you go out and you buy a Darnath Lysander or a Gilliman or Eldra or whatever, and then this giant pink crab machine just picks it up, shears it, just like that. It's a funny image. But yeah, Emperor's Children do really pop off on individual units going into other units. Emperor's Children can't really gang up their units on a unit when it comes to, charging and attacking. So yeah, I think securing a unit for death or 2 with a big Defiler is not a bad idea.
And with how few vehicles Emperor's Children have, this is a relevant option. Like, there's a good chance you're taking 2 to 3 of these because your vehicle options are kind of terrible in EC.
And EC love melee, and Defiler does melee.
Yep.
Ooh.
So yes, I definitely feel like this is, in terms of like the army picking it, this is probably one of the better places for the Defiler to be because you don't have many other options.
Correct.
Very, very nice.
Thousand Suns Defiler. Interesting. It does Overwatch. It overwatches on 5s, but if a psych is nearby, it's 4s.
Yep.
Thoughts, Mr. Thousand Suns player?
You're missing the other key addition that this one gets.
Feel no pain 6-up. It's an Imperial Knight.
It's the tankiest of them for some reason.
Yeah, magic.
I actually kind of dig this guy.
Yeah, do you now? You're gonna need 3 Defilers after all. 2 for your CSM, 1 for your Thousand Sun.
Oh, I don't think you do that. The only issue I have is Thousand Suns love Fire Overwatch, and they have some very good targets for Fire Overwatch. And while Fire Overwatch on 4s is very nice, they have flamers that don't have to worry about that hit roll at all. I actually think as much as I think this is such a cool datasheet on its own, it's probably the worst place for a Defiler in terms of army picking it.
I agree. I really agree.
They had to give that Feel No Pain 6 because they're like, please pick it up.
Oh, look at that. The Magma Cutters have a pip of strength added.
Yeah, for some reason. Because they have
But not the Flamer.
Yes, that's what I was going to say. But
most of the guns have a pip.
The Flamer doesn't even get the extra AP that you would expect as what Thousand Suns' whole army rule is.
Yeah.
So, unfortunately, I think this is... While the ability itself is very strong, it's just not worth picking up as often in Thousand Suns. And I'm sure people are still going to toy around and pick one.
Johnny, imagine if this had Psyker. Imagine if this was a Sorcerer.
If this was a Sorcerer, it'd be an insta-pick in every list.
Sorry, Muty B, you're out.
But yes, I think the Mutilith Vortex Beast is a better pick at a cheaper price point. And even then, I don't think the Mutilith is a must-take.
You know what is... fair enough. You know what I think is actually quite cracked?
What?
World Eater's Defiler. Whoa!
Oh, yeah.
Unleash Wrath. At the end of your opponent's movement phase, so your opponent moves, you can select one enemy that was set up on the battlefield within 12 inches of that model, and you can either shoot at that unit if they're eligible, or just declare a charge against that unit. This Defiler has extra 2 inches of movement at 14 inches.
Yep.
A lot of its guns have rapid fire, and not just one. Some of those guns have 3 on their rapid fire profile, and it keys off the Blessings of Khorne Yahtzee buff system.
Yeah, this is probably the best Defiler.
Oh my lord.
Not gonna lie.
It's the new Angron.
This guy is very, very nice.
That's crazy, man. So good.
The fact that he essentially has a 12-inch deep strike bubble is crazy. Like, your opponent doesn't want to deep strike near this guy at all because it will charge you and it will shoot you. And this thing's rapid fire 1 las cannons means it's putting 6 shots into you with a las cannon or ridiculous amounts of shots into you with like a battle cannon or a heavy bale flamer.
And if you're running Berserker Warband, this should also get +1 attack
and +1 strength
and +2 to strength on its melee.
So now it's strength 18
with Electro Scourge, and it actually has more attacks already on its melee weapons compared to the generic Defiler.
Yeah, this guy is the most cracked of the crack.
I think this one's actually better than the CSM.
Yeah, I agree.
Inside its own faction.
Yep.
This is nutso.
Absolutely cool.
Like, this is S tier.
Yep.
Bring 3.
The idea of its like heavy missile launcher, which is probably one of its worst weapons, having a frag profile that has 2d6 +3 plus blast if you're within 24 inches. And it definitely doesn't shoot as well. It does have -1 to all of its ballistic skill.
It does.
But that rapid fire makes up for it, you know? And this guy is charging. This guy is running alongside everything else with a 14-inch movement. That's insane. That is such a threat range.
Yeah. And depending on what buffs you've got up, Unbridled Bloodlust to reroll charges, you could have potentially Total Carnage to fight on death if it's pretty low.
Yep. You've got the ability to give it lethal hits, sustained hits.
You could have Warp Blades.
Oh, man.
Devi Wounds. I think this might be a menace. I think this datasheet alone pips up World Eaters quite a bit.
I'm not looking forward to fighting our World Eaters friend because he already has a Defiler.
Yeah, good luck with that, mate.
And this thing is definitely shoot it off the board before it gets anywhere near you territory.
To be fair, that's how I feel about most World Eater units. Don't let them get close.
This is what we in the business call a threat.
It's too many attacks. It's too many attacks. Shoot them off.
I am not the threat, but the Defiler is.
It's a big block of Defiler.
Yep.
Quick fire scorecards for each of the 5.
Defilers as a whole are an A, with the Thousand Suns being a B and World Eaters being probably an S.
I agree. All right, Johnny, that's chaos.
Maybe Death Guard are an A- because they have some pretty good vehicles.
That is true. They are pretty blessed by Nurgle on that front.
Yeah, but nah, Defiler is cooked.
Can I make you a bit of a sad boy now?
Yeah, we're going to go talk about Adeptus Mechanicus next, or are we going to go talk about the thing that makes me
with the Night Destrier.
the most sad? You want to talk about the Destrier?
Zinch. It gives and it takes. Yeah.
All right, I guess.
Zinch gives and it takes with you, Mr. Johnny. Night Destrier, or Destrier, whatever you want to say. It's a middle-sized chassis between the Armigers and the Questoris, and yet because of how market economy works, it's more expensive than the bigger option to buy IRL.
Yep.
Although apparently Australia has one of the cheapest Questoris kits in the world for some reason, so go figure.
Interesting. It's weird like that.
Don't know how that happened, but it happened. So the way I sort of envision the Destroyer is, if you were to think of knights as in medieval knights, the Destroyer is like their cavalry. This is a bit faster, and it likes to have a very particular... It's a bit faster.
A bit?
It's just a bit faster. It's a bit faster. With the sort of option to be mixed arms and not get too much buffs, or you can really lean into double gun arms for an ignore cover thing, or you can go double melee for a bit of extra attacks, of which it's got some juicy melee.
It sure does.
It's got a couple of weapons. At ranged, it's got, of course, the classic nipple cannon, as you would put it.
Yeah.
A little stepper. It's got a Chastiser Gatling cannon, which is a small Avenger Gatling cannon. It has a frag bombard, which is a more stronger Deathwatch frag cannon. At D6+3 shots with rapid fire, D6+3 shots assault. It's on 3s, 712, compared to Chastiser's 12 attacks. Whoa, 612. But then it's melee weapons, I think, is where it really shines. Because I think Imperial Knights are pretty locked in on guns, right? You want maybe a little bit more melee threat in Imperial Knights?
Yeah, I feel like that's the case. You don't really have a very good armiger for melee. They don't have a carnivore, and this might be filling that kind of role.
It's a baby Lancer. It's got a spear.
Is a baby Lancer, and honestly, you're probably taking the spear.
I agree. If you take both the Reaper Chainsword and the spear, you get to add 2 to the attack's characteristics of the models. The profiles are quite similar, with the Reaper Chainsword having more attacks, but the spear having lance, which gives you +1 wound on the charge. So having more attacks overall is really good. I think that lance keyword on the Alpha Strike is very nice.
Yeah. If I'm building this guy, I'm probably building it with the Thundershock Spear and the Chastise Gatling Cannon. I don't think an extra 2 attacks is really worth losing out on 12 shots with your Gatling Cannon.
Probably not.
I don't think that the extra potential shots with the Frag Bombard and an extra strength is worth the trade-off of it having Blast for a guy that's probably wanting to get into melee. It does also have Saturation Fire, so it can strip cover from something on an objective that it shoots at range. But for the most part, you're running this guy because of the ramjets. His movement...
A weird rule, isn't it?
His movement base is 12 plus D3 inches.
It's so weird.
It is weird, but I'm kind of here for it.
But why D3? That's so random.
Because they don't want you to advance and get 2d6 inches on the advance.
I suppose.
I mean, if you do advance, his movement is...
I love the kit.
12 plus d6 plus d3. And he does have assault, so he is advancing every turn. So his minimum is a 14-inch move, with his max being, what, ridiculous? Like a 21-inch move?
Before charges, yeah.
Yeah, before charges. That gives him a threat range of over 30 inches.
It's a bit cooked. Bit cooked.
That's why it's a D3.
I really like this guy. I really like this kit as well. I like the combination of a little bit of bulk but agility to the frame. I think Questoris look a little just sort of static in comparison, and so I really like the design of the Destrier. It's really fun. I would want one or two of those for sure.
He definitely gives Baby Lancer vibes, like Baby Cerastus, in the way that he seems a lot more agile and maneuverable, whereas the Questoris look like big lumbering machines. No, I really like this guy. I'm glad he gets to keep hold of the Titanic and Towering rules, which means he can run through buildings and stuff like that fairly easily. If they didn't add that like Towering rule, it would have made things a little more awkward when he needs to move around. So I'm really glad that that stayed in place, whereas the armatures don't get that. But yeah, I mean, I'm a big fan of Gatling cannons on knights in general, so give me a Gatling cannon knight. Do I...
Okay, I will. There you go. Oh, I'm sorry, you play Chaos Knights.
Do I wish that this guy could run around with double Gatlings? Yes. The fact that Imperial Knights don't get a double Gatling Questoris, like we do with Chaos Knights, I think is a sin. But
it's because Imperials exercise restraint, Johnny.
But having it on their little baby Titanic Knight would be hilarious as like a smaller version. Like, just open up his weapon options a little bit, you know? Let him run around with 2 Gatling cannons or 2 frag bombards if that's what they want to do.
In before the next Imperial Knights chassis to release is just Destrier Plus, and it's got 3 Gatling cannons. 1 in its nipple and 2 on its arms.
No, it's just got top mounted Gatling cannon.
It's got it's an Imperial Howder. But instead of a Cities of Sigmar dude on the back of an ogre, it's a Rattling sniper and a Gatling gun on the top. I could see it.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't really know how to rank it though, but I would say probably like an A tier, low A, high B.
Yeah, I'd say probably like an A- or a B+, like around that area for sure. It definitely feels a little niche, but I don't know if it's necessarily what Imperial Knights needed. I think what Imperial Knights needed more was...
They need bannermen.
What I was going to say is I think they need a few more armigers.
Okay.
Their armigers aren't fantastic.
Not foot soldiers?
Foot soldiers is, you know, the more I play Chaos Knights and Imperial, like, toy around with it, the less I think it's necessary.
But it's
because of the allied rules, I don't know if it's necessary. Yeah. Like, by the time you add in infantry to them, they're not really going to function in there. Like, they're not going to benefit from army rules or detachment rules or anything like that because they're all built around the knights. And they do have access to allies that can fill that niche. And I think people are definitely sleeping on the detachments that work with their, like, the AdMech detachment for Imperial Knights, I think could be okay. I haven't really looked into it very well, but you've seen what I've done with cultists, and it's a press.
I have. It's spooky. It's spooky. It's a little terrifying.
So, yeah, like, the more I play, the less I think we need it, and I feel like I would rather have new patterns of knight. I want to break up the Questoris a little bit, because it's all Questoris.
Yep, I agree. If you're going to be doing a knights faction, just have a lot of knights. Go for it. Cool.
Yeah.
Shall we turn our attention to the weird and wacky realm of the Ad Mechanicus?
Man, these are some weird-ass models.
Yeah, aren't they just? Welcome to AdMech. It's just weird.
It really is. Everything here is just so wacky. It's really unfortunate that I personally don't like the vibe. I definitely get the appeal, but I've said it before that I'm not a big fan of the, like, Wild West steampunky sort of vibe, whereas I'm a big fan of what AdMech does in 30k.
Yeah, I like a lot of the Skitarii design. It looks like the end of the line for this sort of philosophy of theirs, where everything's a little old, rustic, falling apart in a sense. Everything's real spindly and cobbled together. But then all of the tech priests looks like someone just put a magnet into a toolbox, pulled it out, and then wrapped it in a robe.
Yeah, yep. And that's definitely what I was going to mention. Like, you look at Thulia and it's like, where do you start? It's just like this hodgepodge mix of different bits, which is very AdMech.
I will just mention that now there is police sirens in the background.
You know, those ones I did hear.
Oh, it's busy where I am. It's normally like such a silent area.
Yeah, right? You're in the back end.
Oh, man. The new Hastarii models, what I'm calling Immortal Skitaries, as in Necron Immortals, they tickle my brain in a certain way because how they've painted them, the little rebreather component that is just below the visor lens, how they painted it that sort of goldish bronze, and then the rest is that silver metallic. From a distance, I just think they have a big mustache.
Yes. I'm glad you said it.
It looks great. This sort of whimsical, heavy weapon robot dudes with half cloaks and just too many guns. It's pretty good.
Actually,
I do like the Hastarii a lot.
Like these guys. They're not that Wild West vibe as much. There's a little bit more armor plating. They're definitely like mostly metallic cyborgs. But no, these guys are pretty neat. I actually don't mind this kit in terms of AdMech. Having 2 different datasheets, I'm here for it.
And you know what? There's a good chance they're Cadians.
Oh, that's just rude.
And the reason for that is because the Forge World Agrippina, which the Iron Warriors are having a little terrorizing of, is known for turning most of the population into Skitarii thralls. But Agrippina is right near Cadia and was a refugee planet for Cadians.
Oh, that's rough.
So, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they're like a semi-recent addition to the roster of Skitarii because they're like, we have all these guns, we have all these people, let's try something new. Oh dear. But Thulia Ghuld, which is a strange name if I'm being honest, Thulia Ghuld is not an Agrippinian. She is, and yes, it's a she if you couldn't tell, it's from Mars. And
she's a local.
She is what's called I'm going to get this wrong. Archmagos Terminus? I did get it right. She is an Archmagos Terminus, which is like chapter master, primarch, lord, whatever, of her subsection of the Mechanicus, which is the Ordo Reductor. The Ordo Reductor is the war crimes component of the AdMech. They are all about extreme, overwhelming aggression and violence as their means to an end. The Ordo Reductor sees the Omnissiah and decides, you know what? Inside every one of us, there are 2 wolves. One is knowledge and Lamborghinis and technology. The other is overwhelming, hyper-violent, wanton destruction. And that's the Ordo Reductor. They believe the Omnissiah is like this angel of vengeance, destroyer, animus thing. How many references did I just stuff into a minute? I don't know. But that's her shtick. And so when we get to it, her detachment, the Eradication or Extermination Cohort, really suggests such a thing. When she appears somewhere, all the Skitarii basically see her as the archangel of the violent half of the Omnissiah. Are you with me so far?
Yeah, for sure. No, she's pretty powerful chick and high up in the chain.
And to understand AdMech is to realize that you won't fully get it. AdMech have so many buffs and debuffs and abilities put into all of their data sheets, faction rules. So Thulia pops off a little bit around the army rule, which is Doctrina Imperatives. At the start of the battle round, you select either Protector or Conqueror. Protector offers 3 benefits, which is ranged weapons by all models in a unit, that is AdMech, have heavy. The ballistic skill is improved by 1. And each time a melee attack targets the unit, if it's a battle line unit or a unit is within 6 inches of a battle line, so bring Skitarii, your opponent will be -1 to hit. Inverse of that is Conqueror Imperative, where ranged weapons have assault, weapon skill is improved by 1, and if a model is making an attack, if it's battle line or within 6 inches of a battle line, you improve AP by 1.
So what I heard is your Exterminators or Fusiliers could be hitting on 2s.
Correct. Correct. So Thulia Ghuld has several abilities. She has, to start with, Rod of the Warforge.
She got the Primarch thing.
She's got the Primarch, pick one of 3 things. Now, she has 3 other abilities after this.
Yeah.
But her Rod of the Warforge allows you to either do Fanatical Devotion, which is you can select Skitarii nearby or her, within 6 until the start of your next command. They can shoot and charge after advancing, which, Skitarii, you think, oh, that's not too much until you realize everyone's Skitarii.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yep.
So you see a box of Skitarii in the shops that makes the Rangers or the Vanguard the battle line. Cool. But Sicarians, which are melee powerhouses, are Skitarii. The people riding the big chickens, they're Skitarii. The bloody Dune Crawler robot, the crab tank, that's Skitarii. The flying things, they're also Skitarii. The people on the techno horsies, those are Skitarii.
Yeah,
The Hastarii are Skitarii.
I just hovered over the Skitarii keyword, and there are 21 units in the Adeptus Mechanicus that have the Skitarii keyword, not including Thulia Ghuld, who also gets this benefit.
Yep. The reverse side of this ability is Adaptive Tactics, which is all that except falling back instead of advancing.
Yep, so advance, fall back, and shoot and charge.
And the third one, which is a bit of fun, the Fires of Mars. You can select the Skitarii or Thulia, and they get both imperatives activated. So they get a whopping 6 extra little bits of buff.
Why not?
Do I know who to put them on? No. Have I tried in the past to actually read through all the AdMech stuff? Yes, several times.
It seems very complex.
I've gone through the faction on no fewer than 4 occasions over 10th edition to wrap my head around what they are capable of. And outside of a strangely oppressive amount of firepower, I'm not 100% sure.
Strangely so. Okay, all right. I mean, even looking at her weapons, I'm like,
You see that data?
why is this character this cracked in at range?
It's, you see, it's like with sisters. You see a bunch of nuns with guns, and you think, okay. But then they start popping synergies and miracle dice and leader keywords and hallowed martyrs buffs, and then all of a sudden you're dead.
Yeah.
Something happens a bit like this where you see these spindly servitor robots and funny little guys in cloaks with essentially flintlock rifles, but with a plasma coil attached to it. And you think, okay. And then each of those Skitarii units has a precision sniper, a plasma cooler, anti-vehicle dev wound gun. Their servitor robots that are on the treads will melt tanks with a bunch of devastating wound stuff. The big robot chickens have las cannons galore. The flying people are torrent weapons. The Sicarians are stealthy assassin robots. There's so much that you look at, you think, okay, and then they just kill you.
Yep.
But Thulia has a few other abilities. She gets the classic lone op if she's within 3 of a unit, which helps because she's a big body. She has Cybernetica Augmentation, where she can just move through terrain features.
I mean, she needs
And
that.
then she can be set up or end a move on any floor level of ruins. But if that level is not the ground floor, can only do so if the base is not overhanging. So probably not fitting her on too much because she is on an 80 mil.
Yeah.
And then she has the Secutor of Olympus, which is at the start of your shooting phase. Select an enemy vehicle unit within 12 of the model. Roll a d6 on a 2+. That enemy unit suffers d3 plus 1. No, she doesn't even have to look at them. They can just be nearby. It's okay. Can maybe kill a very weak unit, but it's all right. It's a fun little bit of chip damage. But her weapons, man.
But her weapon.
Jericho class conversion resonator. What do you think of that, Johnny?
I like the sound of Titanic Impact.
Mm-hmm.
That's a very strong sounding name. Well, I mean, a 24-inch range las cannon on your character is pretty crazy.
Yeah, you'll notice that her weapons are good, but not in an overwhelming way. You definitely use her as an amplifying piece for other units, and you just sort of have her join in the fray here and there. But a lot of criticism is thrown at the fact that she is 210 points. AdMech's biggest issue is that everything is priced in a very odd way. Things are more expensive than they ought to be, and things are cheaper than they ought to be, because the internal balance is rather whoreson. It's gotten better with several balanced data slates, but yikes, was it a bit of a crapshoot, because this is a faction that you want to have complicated, and the whole 10th edition ethos was simpler.
Yeah,
And so they did things which threw a lot of the balance out, and then as I started to power creep the edition, AdMech was allowed to breathe a bit more. Here we are.
Meanwhile, here I am looking at this, being like, for 10 points extra, I'd rather this over Mutilators.
Yes, I agree. But
she's toughness
within AdMech,
8, dude.
Yeah, dude. But for 210 points, so is Call.
Yeah, but she sits at the same, like, sideways to Call, right? They're both in a similar position in the hierarchy. They both kind of have that, like, 3 abilities sort of thing.
Yeah, but
like, you're probably running her or Call. You're probably not running both.
No, but Call gives Oath a moment to the AdMech.
He definitely does. My question is, and it's a rules question I'd have to look up. I
was going to ask you the same question.
If you do run both, who is your warlord?
It's a great question.
They're both supreme commanders.
I don't know. Let's chuck them into a list and see what happens. Bear with me for a sec.
It probably yells at you.
Maybe. What do you think about what we've just mentioned about AdMech and Thulia and stuff?
I think she's pretty cool. She doesn't make me want to pick up the faction, but she's a pretty cool model and she does some fun stuff.
I'm not being yelled at.
What?
The 2 Supreme Commanders. It just says you got to pick one of them.
Okay, that's fine.
Nice. So you can bring both if you want an absolute castle.
And it really would be.
If you want to be it would be an insane castle.
The real question is, who do you want in the middle? What are you putting these 2 characters near to benefit from everything they're doing?
People tend to run Call like you would Abaddon or Vashtorr, where you castle him with your ranged oppression.
Yeah.
Thulia can definitely be the midfielder because she allows you to slingshot units such as Sicarians into melee or out of melee.
Yeah, but what's going to benefit the most from, let's say, the Fires of Mars, having access to that heavy keyword? Who do we want hitting on 2s? Who do we want, I guess she doesn't do so much.
My pick. And it's Cataphrons.
Cataphrons? All right.
Cataphron breaches.
I don't know enough about them.
Cataphron breaches. Pull up their datasheet and you'll be like, oh. This is my favorite datasheet in the faction. Cataphron breaches.
Cataphron breaches, not destroyers?
You would think that breaches are not as lethal as destroyers, but destroyers are the lesser oppressive one. The cheaper, lighter weight one.
I mean... So,
yes.
What you're doing, it doesn't really matter if you do that, does it? You're giving them heavy and +1 ballistic, so they're hitting on 2s with reroll 1s. Then you're not using the invocation from Belisarius Call because they're already hitting on 2s and rerolling the 1s. You're probably using the Shroud Psalm to give stealth to the unit, so your Cataphron breaches are stronger. And then on top of that, I don't know. I just... There's too much going on with this army. I'm like, what's the line? It's not simple enough for me to work out right now off the top of my head.
Yeah, this puzzle box is a really fun puzzle box of a faction that I would be totally gorging on if not for the price of it all. It's like the most expensive army to financially
recover from.
Try and acquire. Yeah, that too. And I like what they've got going on a lot. I'm a big fan of the Hastarii, which we can talk about now. There's as called Immortal Skitaries. These are your hunky steampunk gentlemen carrying little war crimes that are usually put on their bigger vehicles. They are essentially modified Skitarii with one of their arms basically becoming a gyroscopic stabilizer that's then welded to these big guns, which is quite funny to me. There are 2 datasheets you can build. Exterminators are a very big threat piece with a lot of sort of anti-keywords, a lot of anti-vehicle stuff, anti-infantry. They get 2 guns, 1 of each. The Arc Blasters, which are a smaller version of what's on Breaches, and the Eradication Casters are essentially an anti-infantry, what's the word I'm looking for, like toxin gun. It's not torrent, but that's what it kind of is. It just spews this biochemical weapon that is anti-infantry 4. And then if you are targeting a unit with one of those Eradication Casters, you do get sustain hits 1. So they have a very interesting sort of price point where they can be good in the right circumstance with a little bit of buffs and a little bit more of a defensive playstyle. You can really chip down things. But Fusiliers, which is the alt build, I think this is a little bit of a miss, in my opinion, because they each have a las cannon, a neutron fusil, which is just definitely a las cannon. The thing is, there's already other units in this faction that are better when it comes to the whole wielding las cannons. Look at the chickens, for example. The Hastarii.
It's kind of like they do what everyone else does, but not quite as good, but they're not as specialized.
That is true. But the Fusiliers, it's one of those things like, at what point do they become the go-to pick, depending on the price point? And the thing is, they're just not at that price point.
Yeah. You know what these guys are fantastic for, though?
And what's that?
Filling out your army list, because they've got a lot of points in them.
That's true.
The fact that they can be led by Skitarii marshals and some of the tech priests means that you do have the option to potentially make them better. I'm looking at these characters, and my first immediate thought is, why is a Skitarii marshal 35?
It's a great call, isn't it?
That's a 35-point enhancement for reroll hit rolls and a once per battle shock recovery.
It's a very good question, yeah.
That seems pretty good. The Skitarii Marshal seems pretty good. And
the Skitarii Marshal is great. It's a 35-point model that
it's an enhancement.
Costs you $60 in Australia.
Oh, there it is. And there's a few tech priests, but I don't feel like going through them all. They've got stuff that can lead them, so there is the chance at bust. But yeah, it just
to give you the quick spiel. Dominus is the one on the ground, the one that usually appears in a lot of animations and games with the hunched over big axe. He gives, I think he's the Feel No Pain one.
He is the Feel No Pain one. Yep.
He's the Feel No Pain one. Really good with Electro Priests, which are a whole nother unit. There's the Engines here, which is just a Tech Marine.
Yep.
The Manipulus is the one floating in the air, which does give lethal hits. It's not bad, but definitely is better used with
other things.
More expensive units. And the Techno-Archaeologist is a funny fellow who just blocks reinforcements.
Okay, so if you're putting... They don't even shoot that far. Then...
Yeah, it's a weird unit, isn't it?
They're not even good on your home field objective.
Oh.
Yeah, these are a weird unit, but they do look very cool.
But I like the Exterminators a lot. Somewhere in the B. The Fusiliers are unfortunately just in the lower C for me. Whereas Thulia, I think at her price point she's a B, but if she's cheaper, then she's just like Cole. A pretty potent little amplifier.
Yeah, she's neat.
Since we are on AdMech and we're now through the data sheets. Unless you wanted to say anything else, shall we just get the AdMech extermination thing out of the way?
Eradication Cohort?
Yes, that one. Do you like damage?
I do.
Well, this is the one for you, John, because the Eradication Cohort adds other abilities to the Doctriner Imperatives.
This definitely adds a letter. This bumps your tool up a notch.
Oh, yes. This is her detachment in a nutshell.
Yes, Skitaris get reroll hit rolls of 1 if they're protectors and reroll wound rolls of 1 if they're conquerors. Or if she gives someone both, they get both.
Yep. And you'll notice some really fun little pieces of this kit. The Bellicosa class capacitor veins, say that 10 times fast, is a 30-point enhancement for the Marshal, which adds both imperatives to the unit at the same time.
That is the Omni Cogitator.
No.
According to my... Okay, where's the misprint? Because I'm looking at the book right now.
Oh, shit.
And Omni Cogitator is both.
Oh, it's printed as Omni Cogitator twice, is it?
No, the Bellicosa class capacitor veins gives +6 to the range characteristic of ranged weapons equipped by models in the bearer's unit and +1 strength.
Oh, then I guess
PDL may have an error because that sounds more realistic based on the name.
Well, there is an Omni Cogitator enhancement, which is the one you just read out, so it's a good chance.
They're probably just backwards accidentally in here.
Okay, well, there is a 30-point enhancement to add both imperatives. That's good.
The question is... We need to now go find out which one is which based on the price, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because
Fair enough.
we don't know what price is what anymore.
Well, I don't think we really need to dig too deep
doesn't.
into this.
No. But these are options that you have. There's also the option to give a unit Skitarii that isn't Skitarii.
Yeah, so it's really funny because, you could put that on a tech priest, give it to Cataphrone Breaches, then all of a sudden you're getting all of those buffs.
Ooh.
Then if you look at things like the the stratagems, you have stratagems such as Unshackled Wrath, where in your shooting phase, pick a Skitarii unit to get sus 1 or lethal, but you can instead give them Hazardous to get sus 1 and lethal. One of the tech priests gives Feel No Pain 5-ups. There's things like Analytic Reprisals, where if your opponent's shooting phase has shot, if you lost a Skitarii infantry, you can shoot them back. Everything in this kit is just aggression. There's no defense, it's aggression. There's a fight phase lance, there's a movement phase fallback and charge, which, again, Sicarians, if you wanted to have a little look at that, there's another enhancement. I did it again. There's a stratagem that's just for Sicarians. It's just aggressive. Like, there's not much nuance to say other than does more gun or does more fight. That's fine.
I'm a big fan of Unshackled Wrath.
Yeah, me too.
Where you can get sustained hits or lethal hits, or you can get both and Hazardous.
Yeah, that was what I pointed out immediately in my notes. I wrote in my notes, Unshackled Wrath. Well, actually, what I wrote technically was huge damage spikes with wider army rule plus Thulia double Doctriner, Threat Cogitator, which is a Skitarii vehicle, reroll the damage roll stratagem, but Analytic Reprisal, Unrelenting Aggression, Unshackled Wrath, I wrote, and I quote, all offer keys to the House of Death for your opponent.
No, very, very cool. I really like this seems like a fun detachment rule. I don't know realistically what their other detachment rules are like in terms of power or playability, but this seems fun.
So there's a couple of go-to detachments for comp play, which is the Grotmus Halo Screed Battleclade, which is a toolbox, multi-tool kind of detachment, which gives a lot of buffs depending on what you need at the time. But also Skitarii Hunter Cohort is also pretty good. Overall, though, much like a lot of playstyles, you're still building up around things like Cataphrons, Iron Strider Ballistaries, or the chickens. And especially here, Marshal hodded up units with Thulia enabling a couple of Sicarians, and you're just castling up.
Yeah.
I give it a B tier because it's just kill. If you can't kill, you're dead. That's it. There's no real defense.
Really leans into the glass cannon vibes.
But I like it a lot. I would like to play AdMech as my... So, how much shooting can I accomplish? Army. I think Thousand Suns are neat, Towers neat, but you are well and truly into those. So AdMech tickles my fancy as a shooting army.
Yeah, cool.
All right, Johnny. Shall we bring it back away from the heinous Imperials and throw some love to Iron Warriors?
Yeah, man. Let's talk about Warpstrike champions.
Man. Absolutely. Take it away, Jose.
I'm going to have so much fun with this detachment.
Yeah, you will.
How do you feel about Terminators, Obliterators, and Mutilators? Some of the worst...
Like them, actually.
Some of the worst models in our codex.
Well, I actually like them.
You know what makes them so much better? Uppy Downies.
I was going to say, is it this whole detachment?
Yeah, oh yeah, for sure. This is your I want to play big boys. Every single turn, in a Strike Force game, you select 2 units that are Terminators, Obliterators, or Mutilators, and they get to disappear temporarily. Which, these are all our Deep Strike units, so very, very good.
Very good.
This gives you access to your 10 blob of dudes with Kravek Morne just jumping around the board doing their thing. This really helps enable your kind of like your Death Star unit, which when it's almost 500 points, you definitely want it to be moving around the board. You get some pretty fun enhancements. You get the free rapid ingress, which
yeah, it's good.
Unfortunately can't go on to Kravek Morne's unit if you've got a Chaos Lord or Sorcerer Lord in Terminator armor that's with your other Terminator unit that's uppy downying.
Johnny.
Yeah.
Do you think an Iron Warrior Sorcerer doesn't actually do warp magic, but just really high level math.
Oh, yeah, totally.
Totally, yeah. I thought you might.
You know what they say, right? That magic is just unexplained science.
All right, Thor. But yes, it is good. It is good.
But yeah, we finally have a place to put our Terminator Lord. And I think it's fantastic.
Yeah, that was a bit of a missed opportunity,
The idea
datasheet,
of
wasn't it?
your Chaos Lord being able to uppy downy with his 10 blob of Terminators. He has a free rapid ingress, and then once per battle round, he has a free stratagem. Like, this makes a Chaos Lord in Terminator armor kind of crack.
You know, I kind of forgot those existed.
Yeah, because no one puts their Chaos Lords in Terminator armor because the regular Chaos Lord can lead Chosen.
Yeah, it's because they're the chosen ones. Come on.
Yeah. You've got access to Eye of the Warp, which is a Heretic Astartes Deep Strike only enhancement, which gives you reroll the charge rolls after you Deep Strike in, which is also fantastic if you don't want that rapid ingress, as a way of allowing you to actually make that charge that you're coming in on. You've got the Axur's Binding Runes, which gives you access to turn 1 Deep Strike. Again, a lot of very good Deep Strike ones. In fact, most of them can only go on deep striking units. And then you've got Zagula, which allows your Chaos Lord in Terminator armor to improve their attack, strength, AP by 1, and damage if they have deep struck.
You know?
So there's some fun stuff in here for your 2 units that can actually get these enhancements.
You know, I'm ahead of time reading through the stratagem kit, and I'm seeing a lot of just stuff that procs around deep strikes and the main units of the faction that we've already talked about for this detachment. And then I'm thinking to myself, if they're really expensive units, but they're units all the same to buy, this might be one of like the cheapest ways to play CSM right now, right?
Yes, most likely, but you're not going to have many units on the board.
Oh, well.
But
easier to paint.
I do think there's very fun things you can do with this. Like, your Sorcerer Lord already gives reroll advance and charges, so you definitely could use one of the other enhancements on him, not worrying about the reroll charge rolls. So this guy could come in turn 1 from Deep Strike.
Wow, that's some real mathemagics.
The other option is, because these 3 Deep Strike ability enhancements aren't locked to infantry, you can make a cracked ass Demon Prince with wings out of this.
Of course you can. He's done it, everyone. He's stuffed Demon Princes in the list.
Damn straight I have. Demon Prince with wings is one of my favorite CSM models, alright?
I am Warrior Demon Prince.
As if I'm not going to give my Demon Prince a free rapid ingress or the ability to come in turn 1. Like, this is so good. He can't uppy downy, which is unfortunate, but this makes for a very fun Deep Strike list and gives us something that we don't really have for Chaos Space Marines, being an uppy downy focused detachment.
Yep.
I really like this. We get enhancements for Armor of Contempt. We get Ignores Cover at range. We can give our Terminators, Obliterators, or Mutilators the shoot and charge after advance.
There we go.
We've got sticky objectives. Like, we've got all the stuff that you would expect. I do like that we have the option of -1 to AP or -1 to damage as separate enhancements, but we can't do both, unfortunately. And the Portal of Spite really helps guarantee what we're doing, where you can give a Heretic Astartes unit that was set up with Deep Strike +2 to charge. So now that 9-inch charge is a 7-inch charge with rerolls. Like this, they really did fill the gaps that you see with some of these Deep Strike units, where it's like, if you don't make the charge, whoops, I guess we're dead now.
Whoopsie.
And just as we said with like the Skitarii enhancement, bumping everyone up a point, this very much does the same. I could see me running Mutilators in this list, whereas I wouldn't in most others.
If you wanted to see this list in action, or this detachment, Tabletop Tactics, not sponsored, did a very good battle report, really leaning in to this detachment, and I thought it was very fun to watch.
Nice shout out.
Nice shout out. Also, shout out to, do you remember the Iron Warrior Barban Folk?
Yeah.
He's a Demon Prince now.
Ooh.
So there you go.
All the more reason to run a
Iron Warriors still do that.
Heretic Astartes Demon Prince with wings.
They do exist.
Yeah, they always exist, but they're not as common as some of the other ones. These guys aren't as devoted to the gods. They feel like Perturabo's a bit of a self-centered idiot at times, and definitely thinks that he's one-upping the Chaos Gods without being corrupted. Sure, but you will notice they still get the Dark Pact. They're definitely still playing the great game, even though they think that they're winning the great game.
It's that whole notion of 1 or 2 steps removed from the thing that's bad. If someone else is doing it for you, it's not that bad. It's like, well, I didn't order the drink. I didn't, do the drug. They did it to me.
I think it's more a case of like, we're not being corrupted. We're just using this influence to make everyone around us better. It's like we're guiding this power. We're using it without being affected by it. It's like, that's not really a thing. That's not how chaos works.
Yeah, I'm imagining there's some lesser demons that think, you know what? I am warrior. I can be the one to corrupt them. Gives them a boon. Bit later, comes knocking on their little door. Hey, so are you ready for corruption? No. But I can give you horns? No. Do you want to be a demon? No. Oh, you've got me.
Yeah, for sure.
Says the demon.
But you know what I didn't have on my bucket list for this edition?
Another Vashtorr detachment?
Another Vashtorr detachment. We haven't heard anything from Vashtorr in so long.
He showed up at the end of Prior Nexus just to have a little peek at the battlefields, and that's it. And wax poetic.
Yep, but
that's it.
We got Cult of the Arkifane, which is kind of a rework of the Vashtorr detachment, but not really. Like, it's a little different. This one is Heretic Astartes vehicles in your army gain the demon keyword, so you're more likely to run the non-demon engines, as they are demons now, and gives them all a 5-up invuln.
Yeah, sure does.
It sure does, right?
It sure does. For a moment there, I was thinking, Soulforge, right? That's only 3 underlying units. Oh, look at that. Heretic Astartes vehicles is one of the 3.
Well, the invuln save does nothing for the other 2. Lord Discordance and Vashtorr both have a 4-up invuln already.
Yeah, they just get a keyword.
They get the keyword so they can benefit from the detachments, the stratagems and enhancements. That's the key thing. And one of them is the Cybernfernal font, which can give a Heretic Astartes models unit the Soulforge keyword. So now I can give that invuln save to my chosen.
Yeah, I didn't say anything just before because my face scrunched up reading Crown of Worms. This parasitic helm bestows the ability to conjure demonic nematodes akin to those manifested by the Arkifane. These borrowing entities can reknit faltering war machines or gnaw upon such vehicles' sanity. Ick.
Yeah.
Icky wicky.
Very icky wicky.
So
but
Warpstrike get 2 abilities.
Pardon?
Does the Warpstrike get 2 abilities?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
He gets the heal things and he gets the make other dudes angry.
Very good.
Do I think the Warpsmith is a good data sheet? No.
Fair enough.
Do I think this makes him better? Not really. The problem is...
Yeah, your Cybernfernal font's good.
The Crown of Worms is a Warpsmith only enhancement that adds 3 to the range of his abilities. Being able to be 6 inches away from a vehicle and still lone up is pretty cool. But he's still just a toughness 4 wounds dude who doesn't get the invuln save from being soulforged. And if you stick him with a unit, or at least he can lead more than just Havocs now, because he used to only be able to lead Havocs. Now he can also lead Chosen, Legionaries, Nemesis Claw, and Red Corsair Raiders. The problem is you don't really want to because you're trying to give him lone op anyway and have him near the vehicles. It's a bit of a weird unit.
Yeah.
You're probably only running 1 of these, maybe 2 in this specific detachment, so that you have access to reknitting your demon engines and throwing the occasional grenade. But I think this looks like a little bit of fun. But it's not a detachment I'm completely sold on yet, considering I'm the guy that loves vehicles.
Yeah, I got this sort of question of, what does this really do for the army that makes you want to take this over something else?
Yeah, it makes them tougher to kill.
Which is always funny.
And if you're wanting to run that mass arms list. I do like that this gives Vashtorr the ability to actually do what he wants to do with your other vehicles that aren't demon engines, because now they are. Like this is definitely the I want to play with Vashtorr, but I don't have 3 Venom Crawlers and a bunch of demon engines, you know?
Yeah, 'cause he makes them a lot stronger with their weapons, so that's pretty good.
Yeah, he also gets the lone up when he's near them. Like this guy he's neat.
Yeah, I like it. But besides being tougher, it doesn't look like there's a whole lot. There's a little bit more of a boost in the dark packs. There's a little bit of numbers changing, such as extra toughness or extra AP or reroll the wound, but nothing looks too standout. What do you think?
I definitely agree. The one thing I will say is I do have this idea in my mind of building Vashtorr Castle, because that is how you run this detachment, surrounding him in things like Predators and Vindicators and keeping a Hellbrute nearby to double up your Dark Pacts on all of these vehicles and just creating like this vehicle castle or shootiness where all of your vehicles are getting like +2 strength, they're getting sustained hits and lethal hits. And just doing that, I feel like that is your game plan here. Vindicators are pretty scary, but yeah, if I ever pick up Vashtorr, I'll probably give it a go.
As I've said before, the whole Vashtorr Disco Lord side of CSM is what appeals to me most of all. So
yeah,
I like what I'm looking at here, especially when we consider new shiny Defilers.
I personally prefer this detachment to the other one for Vashtorr, but that is mainly because I do not possess the Demon Engine side of CSM.
That's fair. That is fair.
So that's a personal.
So what are you going to give this one? Like a C tier, low B tier?
Give it a B, maybe a B minus.
Mm-hmm.
I think it has options, but you're playing with a lot of really old models. I think it has legs. I don't think it's as good as some of the other ones. There's no like assault on all your weapons to make your Vindicators get around better or anything like that.
All right. Little bit of a flair piece there.
It's cute.
Nothing too meta shifting, but it's fun that they are trying again with a couple of detachments that aren't seeing so much light of day. But let us have a cheeky peeky, my friend. Had another Space Marine detachment, huh?
And how many detachments do they have nowadays? Holy.
Let me have a wee peek. So, just basic. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. 13 generic Space Marine detachments, plus...
That's a lot.
Well, that's including as well what's coming out in the Armageddon Yarrick stuff. That's including those 2.
Oh, yeah.
That focus more on the vehicle side of things. Ultramarines have 2. There should be 5 reskins for the other Codex compliance, and then all the other ones except Deathwatch, like Wolves, Angels, Templars, around the 4 to 5 each range.
So you're looking at roughly 40 detachments that you can play for Space Marines.
Give or take, yeah.
Roughly. We're just estimating.
Yeah, roughly. There's 13, and then each sort of sub-faction within Space Marines gets 1 to 5.
That's insane.
It is.
How do you make them feel different at that point?
Well, until the 500 worlds...
I get it. Like, some of them are Codex supplements, but like, holy, that is... How do you decide what you're going to play if you're a Space Marine player? As
we alluded to before we hit record, the Adeptus Astartes keyword appears apparently 296 times across 10th edition's datasheets.
Yep.
Of course, not all of them are available to all play styles. And of course, it's going to be some sort of double ups based on how units are broken down with different people within the unit. But like 200 at least, give or take 200 different units. There are so many ways to split them up. I mean, the Warpstrike one just had a detachment focused around 3 units, like 3 to 4 units.
Yeah.
And it's what a lot of those sliced off detachments for Marines do, with the benefit that the Codex Marines was the second Codex, and there was definitely a lot of wiggle room to improve upon. And so I think a lot of the detachments for Space Marines you just ignore.
Yeah.
As well, a lot of the early ones had only 5 stratagems and then an armor of contempt. So it's easy enough to make a little kit couple of the recent detachments did away with Armor of Contempt, but funnily enough, the one for this supplement got it back. So we're back to just finding 5 abilities.
I mean, you say that, but Armor of Contempt is very strong. There's a reason it shows up so much. And even outside of Space Marines, it shows up a lot.
I think Armor of Contempt is an interesting design choice. If you're wanting to make lots of detachments, maybe just make like one default detachment stratagem that appears everywhere, and just make the other 5 a little better.
At which point does Armor of Contempt just become a core stratagem?
True.
I mean, they can't just make it a core stratagem because you can't give Chaos Knights and Imperial Knights a -1 AP in everything. But like, I get it. But like, at what point is that just something you build around your whole thing? Make it non-Titanic and just make it, a core stratagem that doesn't affect Titanic units.
One day, maybe. But we do have Ceramite Sentinels.
Yeah.
It is the only Space Marine detachment in this. And I thought to myself, oh, that's pretty good. I'm glad to see that we're down to just 1. But then I looked ahead to the Armageddon Yarrick pack and realized that Space Marines get 2 more detachments. And I'm like, where the fuck is my Imperial Agents and Sisters detachment? There's not even a Space Marine in the release. Apparently, there's not even a Space Marine in the lore.
It's crazy that there's factions that have just missed a detachment in all of these releases.
Yeah, right.
Like, I would have assumed that everyone would get at least 1, So, what are the Sons of Dawn doing?
So, Ceramite Sentinels, they are, of course, a Imperial Fists style detachment. They decided to have another go of the Imperial Fist playstyle, of which in the Codex was focused around the heavy keyword, which meh, because you got to play the objectives. But Ceramite Sentinels focuses around the entrenched keyword, a unique keyword to this, which is focusing around putting your fellows in terrain. That's it. Your whole detachment rule is around you being within terrain. You can reroll hit rolls of 1 and wound rolls of 1 if you're within a terrain feature. If they are within a terrain feature and they were not set up on the battlefield this turn, and no model in that unit has moved more than 3 inches this turn, they will gain entrenched. So that is a weirdly specific set of things, which means sit there and stay there.
But what does entrenched mean, Josh?
It means that 3 of your stratagems get a second little feature. So instead of keying your whole detachment around it...
Is that all?
Yep. Instead of keying your whole detachment around not moving, they just added a little buff if you haven't, which I prefer if that's how you want to do it. At first, I thought to myself, yuck. But then I thought to myself, they said detachments are carrying over at least for a wee while. 11th edition's going to make terrain the objective.
That was something I was going to ask you is, do you think they made this detachment knowing 11th edition is right around the corner and that it wouldn't be so good now, but will be fairly decent later?
I feel like they didn't worry about that coincidence and that it is just a coincidence.
You reckon it's an accident?
I reckon it's a happy accident. Yeah, I reckon they just wanted to have another go at their Imperial Fist playstyle, which is sit there and stay there.
Yeah, I do like that they let you have 3 inches of movement. It's not quite as restrictive as heavy. Like, you can adjust slightly to break those lines of sight and stuff like that. I do like that. I just wish that it was, maybe the adaptive defense actual buff is like reroll hit rolls of 1 if you're on terrain and reroll wound rolls of 1 if you're entrenched or something like that. Like, give them a passive benefit to being entrenched, or this, but you get rerolls if they're entrenched.
I would agree, considering that this is a core Space Marine detachment, and if you're playing the basic bitches, you get +1 to wound.
+1 to wound, reroll hit rolls on your oath target. Like, there's already all those benefits, but now it's, yeah.
The enhancements follow a very, effectively straight and narrow Imperial Fist game plan. A Gravis character can be set back up when it's destroyed. Castellum Omnivox is a fallback and perform an action or declare a shoot and charge.
I do like fallback in action.
Everyone does. The Spy Skull data link gives an ignores cover ability, and Defensive Mastery allows you to redeploy 3. I've never seen that before.
Yeah, they're fine.
They're fine.
There's nothing like out there and crazy, but they're fine.
They're fine. Very much just add a little bit of utility to the Imperial Fist style.
Yeah.
And then the detachments is straightforward, really. Unyielding Might, you can add one to the OC. Priority Strike, you get to reroll the wound rolls if an infantry or mounted unit's attacking character, monster, or vehicle, I guess. And then the 3 that actually will matter around Entrenched is Stand to the End, which is Fight on Death, adding 1 if you're entrenched. Augmented Targeting is sus or lethal, but you gain both if it's entrenched. And then Evasive Repositioning is a reactive move, but you can re-roll the d6 if you're entrenched.
Weird that there's a reactive move that triggers if you're entrenched.
Yeah.
It's like, I haven't moved yet, but now I'm going to. Now I'm not entrenched.
Since this is the Imperial Fist detachment, I will just lightly go over their epic heroes.
Cool.
So we haven't really covered them on the pod before, but I'll just quickly go through them. You have Tor Garadon, who is an epic Gravis guy. His whole thing is making a lot more damage if he's fighting monsters, vehicles, or fortifications. But he loves melee for the most part. He's got the Hand of Defiance. He's got 5 attacks, hits on 2s, 12-2-2.
Cool.
And if he's targeting a monster, vehicle, or, funnily enough, fortification, I don't know what that means in this edition.
What are they?
You get to make strength, armor pen, and damage increase by 2, which does technically also work for his grav gun, but that's just 2 shots.
See, we say what is a fortification, but I've got one sitting on my desk right in front of me.
What have you got? What have you got, John?
What do you mean? No, I've currently got sitting on my desk in front of me a Tide Wall gun rig.
Oh. Yeah, good stuff.
He's a little cutie.
Yeah, good stuff. But yeah, Tor Garadon, a lot of people tend to run him with heavy intercessors so that they gain ignores cover, and their heavy bolt rifles are pretty spicy then.
Yeah, heavy intercessors are pretty spicy.
They're pretty spicy, it's true. But because he likes punching things, aggressors is also pretty well and good. No real point to pair him with Eradicators, however. We have Darneth Lysander, who got a new model at the end of last year. He's the first company Terminator captain. He's got the Fist of Dawn Thunderhammer, which is just a better Thunderhammer, 10-3-3. And if he happens to be on the battlefield, Terminators have OC2. It's neat.
Yeah, I kind of like this guy. I like that there is a character that just makes Terminators slightly better.
And he has 7 wounds.
Yeah.
Kravek Morne, I'm sorry.
I would have liked to have seen maybe either a detachment rule or this get replaced like Terminators can get battle line. I think that'd be really cool.
What was in there? There we go. Wrath of Dawn. This was the Emperor's Shield detachment that released with Darneth Lysander. Each time a model in a Darneth Lysander unit from your army makes an attack that targets your oath target, you can re-roll the wound roll. That's about it.
Cool story.
And you can actually re-roll the wound roll of 1 as well if it's just not a Darneth Lysander unit. It's a reskinned first company, which isn't that great, but it exists. Darneth also has Icon of Obstinacy, which is tenacity, as we call it here, where it's -1 to your wound if you are stronger than they are tough, which on Assault Squad Terminators with shields, yikes. If you somehow manage to get Darneth down to himself, he has Rampart. Once per battle at the start of any phase, he can use an ability to have a 2-up invulnerable save.
Mm-hmm.
Whoa.
Not bad.
Go
not
off,
bad.
King. If, for whatever reason, you decide Imperial Fists, cool, but I want to do a successor chapter. Black Templars, they're not going to sit still. They have ants in their pants. They have to go murder.
Hold on. Before you do anything, isn't there another epic hero?
For Fists?
A Fist?
Yep.
Pedro Cantor?
That's who I was just about to make a remark of.
Okay, all right.
So,
go on then.
Thank you so much. For some reason, these successor chapter masters, such as Gabriel Seth, if you pick them, they are keyed out, or you're keyed out of running other epics from that sort of Legion family. So Pedro Cantor is Crimson Fist, which means that he is treated as an Imperial Fist, but because this is the Crimson Fist, you cannot bring other Imperial Fist epics such as Darneth and Tor Garadon.
I hate that. That's such a dumb rule.
Same, because Pedro's also an old model in his firstborn scale, and who really has a Crimson Fist army when you can't bring the other Imperial Fist epics?
Yeah, like, just get rid of that whole line.
But what Pedro does have is a very fun storm. I think that's a Storm Bolter, which actually sustain hits 1 with Strength 5, AP 1, 2 damage. Oh my god, a Storm Bolter's good. He has a Power Fist, which is 5 attacks, hits on 2s, 8, 3, 3. He has Feel No Pain 6, which is whatever on him. He's 5 wounds. He has the Oath of Rin at the start of either player's command phase. Just once per battle, you can use an ability to add 1 to the attack's characteristics of weapons equipped by models in his unit, which he does lead Blade Guards. That's okay. That works well. But while he's leading a unit, each time a model in that unit makes an attack, add 1 to the hit roll if that unit is below starting, and add 1 to the wound if they're below half. I hate all of those little starting strength abilities.
Yep.
I think Pedro's very cute and needs a new model, but nah.
I don't think he's worth losing out on the other 2 epic heroes.
Not at all. Same with Gabriel, Seth, and Blood Angels. Very cool, very great lore and presence, but the model's old and is keyed out of the other friendos. Nah, miss.
Yeah, that is such a bad idea.
It is.
To have for your characters. Like, I don't like that at all.
Yeah, I totally agree. But that's a little look of the Imperial Fists play style. I like it. It's going to be a real neat 11th edition way to play, at least at the start until things start to rebalance. I think Imperial Fists might actually be the way to go for a lot of Space Marine players. Keep it in mind.
Yeah, definitely keep an eye on it because it's gonna be interesting in the new edition.
All right, Johnny, tell me about Helhunt Lance.
It's bad. Let's move on.
All right, Freeblade Company. It's good, actually. So Freeblade Company, Imperial Knights, they kind of reworked Index again, right?
Again, because why not? They really don't know what they're doing with IK, I feel.
No. The Detachment Rule Knights of Legends gives the Feel No Pain 6 back, and in your command phase, each Knight's model regains 1 lost wound, which makes me think more models. Bring Destriers, bring some Armatures, right? Have a few more models than the Bigs playstyle.
I don't know, this makes your Bigs have a few more wounds.
True that. True that. Does make sense.
Like, you want those tougher guys that are going to survive a bit more to make use of the regains. Otherwise, if you send an Armature out and it dies in a turn, well, there it goes.
Do you like this detachment, though?
It's fine. It's less to think about. You get to focus more on your army rule and making sure that you can get that extra CP under your belt really quickly. You get a deep strike ability that's even better than the Chaos Knight one, which I feel is a sin because it gets deep strike and uppy downies. You get another one that gives a 5-up invuln save raw instead of just at range. The other 2 stratagems are okay. Enhancements are okay. Nah, like, honestly, the Bringer of Justice improving your attacks characteristic of melee weapons by 2 and adding +1 to the hit roll in melee could be very good on the right knight. The straight up melee knight is one of the ones a lot of people don't like for Imperial Knights, and I think this could be enough to maybe push him over the edge, which I think is the Gallant. Is it the Gallant or the Errant?
It's one of them.
It is not the Gallant. He has guns.
The way I have sort of reviewed this detachment in my notes is that this is a very fun go-wide play style that encourages a little bit more aggression because of the Feel No Pain and the healing. A few of the enhancements can pseudo-replace Big Knights with Destriers if you think about it a bit hard. I think the pros is that it works around multiple different angles of gameplay, from some deep striking effects to giving a melee unit and melee invuln, which is always neat. Some rerolls, you can uppy downy armatures if they're at the board edge. There's so much versatility with an ability for most phases of the game, which at the same time means that most of the abilities are a little situational.
Yeah.
And your list building is maybe a little bit more unfocused, in that is something that is a little bit of a challenge for you personally. With that said, you can kind of just bring like whatever you want and blend the chassis together.
Yeah.
And yeah, I can't really fault it.
I do have to mention There's a really cool line of play with full tilt and Destriers where you can give a Destrier a 9-inch advance. So it would be 9 inches plus that D3, which is a little silly for when you want to get in.
That's very good.
Like that Destrier can get in. Like this is a Destrier detachment.
You ask your opponent if they are going to full tilt.
That's it. Because if they don't, you will, right? No, I like this detachment. It's a bit of a, yeah, as you said, all of the enhancements are kind of situational, but you'll feel really good when they do come up. And it just makes your Chaos Knight, your Imperial Knights, just a little bit tankier.
All right. Very good.
Now do we go back?
I don't think we have to if it's just bad. I mean, you can say what's bad about it.
We'll touch on it quickly. Helhunt Lance, it rewards you for having War Dogs near your Chaos Knights by giving your Chaos Knights access to their own aura abilities that buff the War Dogs. Now, this could be very good. The problem is, because of the way that the economy of Chaos Knights work and Imperial Knights as well, you're putting 300-ish points near your Chaos Knight to gain a very minor benefit because, frankly, the leash abilities aren't fantastic. And that's the big problem, is your detachment rule requires you to put all of your stuff in a pile when you don't have a lot of stuff available. You're basically breaking your army up into, almost 1,000-point blob to give a minor benefit to one dude. And I feel like you're so much better off playing any other detachment.
Mm-hmm. I hear where you're coming from.
That's my big problem. Like, it just doesn't mesh well in terms of the economy of points and the lack of action economy. But you could potentially, put a blob on your natural expansion, put a blob on the center of the board and just kind of sit there. But then you're probably running fixed secondaries to try and get anything because you're not really going to be able to move around the board and accomplish tactical secondaries very easily. And you're relying very heavily on your few units of demons to accomplish anything because all of your knights are in a pile.
Yeah, I can see why this might be a little bit of a miss, but there's a fun little bit of flair. Just might need another draft.
Yeah, it's definitely got flavor. It's just a lot of points to put in a Death Star. And as we said, a lot of the knight abilities that benefit the War Dogs aren't fantastic.
Seems to be less of an issue with the detachment and a bit more of an issue with, once again, the Codex's own units balance.
The terrible internal balance of Chaos Knights Codex, yes. In saying that, go play Iconoclast Fiefdom. You'll have a blast.
Is that your closing remark? Go play Iconoclast?
Yep. Yep, it's fine.
Right.
Do it.
All right. Man, that was kind of a fun bag of things, right?
Yeah, it was. There was a lot going on. And there's some fun, cool new models. And we get to do this all over again for Return of Yarrick.
Yeah, I can't exactly foresee that episode's little data drop being this lengthy. We did have a few tangents in this one.
We sure did.
And we haven't touched too much on Militarum, agents, and even to an extent orcs. So maybe it will happen again.
No. I'm pretty keen on some of these orcs, all right?
Bazdaka.
Man, this new orc model is fan-bloody-tastic.
What have I told you? Yes, the model is new, but Wazdaka is from 4th edition.
I would not be surprised in the slightest.
Crazy for that, eh?
But spoiler alert, he is very good.
Oh, that was meant to be him, was it? Okay.
What?
There apparently was an official conversion that was made of an orc warbiker yonks ago. Early editions, and they're like, that's Wazdaka, back when they were a little bit more into the whole kit bashy thing. But man, what a glow up.
What a glow up. Very exciting stuff, but you'll have to wait for that episode. Sorry guys.
Is that his bike? His name apparently is Wazdaka's bike is called the Bike of the Apocalypse.
Yeah.
Oh.
Isn't it fantastic?
But I think his new war bike is just called Big Rever.
Yeah.
I don't know, Bike of the Apocalypse. It's just great.
Yeah, I do agree. But that's for another episode.
It is, but, teasers and whatnot. But yeah, cool.
Yeah. Got to give you something to look forward to.
Data drop 3, Johnny.
One more to go.
Overall, you thinking they're hitting with these little additions?
Yes, I think the new models are fantastic. I think the detachments, on the other hand, are a little more miss than hit.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a lot of decent flavor in there. Like, they're very flavorful detachments. They're just not competitively focused.
I like that there's not an insane amount of addition. While when you looked at Arcs of Omen, there was so much addition to lore, models, gameplay, heck, factions. This seems to be smearing putty into a couple of the holes left over from 10th edition and what might have been missed or what's starting to be overdue, like Huron. It's good stuff. It's good stuff.
If I did have to give one gripe about this whole end of edition is I feel like 9th edition with the Arcs of Omen was such a big narrative push. Like, there was so much that advanced and happened. And this kind of feels like, hey, we got these cool models. How can we sell them?
I mean,
there's not really
it's always been the case.
Overarching narrative to the books. They're all like, oh, this is kind of just like what's going on in these different regions of space, but there's no changes. There's no advancement. Like, Arcs of Omen was such an epic storyline of, you know, all of these forces coming together to do things. And a huge change to the narrative in the end run and an actual change to the way the universe works.
Yeah, I agree. Totally agree.
We didn't get like this big overarching narrative for this. We didn't get a grand reveal of a primarch or, you know, Abaddon succeeding in his crusade and ripping the entire universe and galaxy in half, you know?
Yeah, I think a lot of bad stuff happened in a relatively short window with the lore in terms of, for the state of everyone within the galaxy. And I think from a sort of meta thing, there's only so much ratcheting tension you could do before it's maybe just like too much all the time. But with that said, a lot of these conflicts, I am concerned that they just will not be touched for a while in any meaningful way. Leviathan was the start of the edition, right? That was the whole big narrative. High Fleet Leviathan is pretty close to Terra. That's huge. That's scarier than Necrons doing a zombie plague through Ultramar. That's more pressing than Perturabo playing 5D chess with galaxy-spanning Citadel or whatever it is he's up to. And like, that's all well and good, but what's freaking happening with Leviathan? Is the Pariah Nexus changed at all? You know, I know already that the next Armageddon Yarrak book actually does, it's like the prologue to the next big Armageddon thing. Like, that's actually something. But the Maelstrom was just, hey, look over here. Here's a travel brochure. The 500 Worlds was, how can we merge all of our Ultramarine plot points together? How? And then this is, as I just said, the big Perturabo's plan. Like, I don't think those are going to have anything happen for a while.
Yeah, and that's my big problem with this is it all feels like setup, but it all feels like setup we're not going to get an answer to anytime soon, if ever.
Yeah.
Like we've seen with 10th edition, it seems to be the addition of setup. It's the consolidation edition. It's what's everyone doing now that 9th edition had such a huge impact. Like, it just feels like, oh shit, we changed everything, but everything is the same.
Well, you know what? Maybe 11th edition's the end times. Everything ends. Everything is started, which means that no one wins because everyone Fs each other.
Imagine 11th edition ends and they go, okay, we're 40k's over. It's now 50k. We need to go back to first edition.
What a marketing facepalm that would be. But I would be intrigued for a complete setting shakeup away from the whole, it's now, what's the doomsday clock? It's a certain amount of seconds to midnight.
Yeah.
Instead of being like, we're closer to midnight, which it has been the entire time it's been going on. It'd be kind of funny to be like, Emperor's dead. Astronomicon's gone. The Primarchs fought to the end in a, wave of their dead sons. The Phoenix Lords went out with a bang. Slaanesh is dead. The Tyranids ate the scraps. The Necrons were the survivors, but they all fell into madness. And the Great Rift just got bigger and bigger out of all of that and consumed everything. Bye.
See, I don't want like the end. I would like to see some progression though.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Like, I understand why they don't. Like, they want all these battlefields open because it allows them to sell models, and at the end of the day, they're a company that sells models, not makes stories. Like, I totally understand from like Warhammer's perspective that having all of these open battlefields and occasionally touching on them is the best way for them to sell as many models as possible. But I mean, we've already had 3 Armageddons. There's no reason we can't have a 4th. You know, like Leviathan.
We're getting a 4th.
we end the Leviathan phase of things, but there's another Tyranid threat. You know, like there's always going to be another threat. You know, maybe Pariah Nexus. You know, that whole thing encounter kind of resolves itself, but something new opens up on the other side to do with something else. Like, I just want to see some of these characters either accomplish their plans or fail at their plans and come up with a new strategy, you know? Like a slight shift in the narrative as we evolve, especially as 40k gets more and more popular.
I agree.
But we love this and we're looking forward to 11th edition, and I think we should leave it there for today.
Yay! What a fun episode.
It was. Give me more Iron Warriors. I want to build my army.
Give Johnny more Iron Warriors, and if you enjoyed this episode, give it a little bump on the platform you're listening to. Share it with a mate. You know, sharing it all around, hyping it up. It's just going to make this better, get us to do more and make it better. Hop on over to our Discord, link in the description of the episode, to come say hi, hang out, talk about what you're excited for. If you've been playing the detachments, you picked up the new models, let us know.
That's it.
Show it off.
Do the stuff and the things. Hit the buttons.
Hit the buttons. You can expect in the near future a little bit more of this sort of content as we go through the Armageddon Yarrick stuff. Also a little bit of the lore with the Armageddon Yarrick stuff and the Eye of Terror stuff.
Yep.
And very soon we'll probably be going through a little bit of a month of June to wrap up 10th, welcome 11th with some more faction report card stuff, how to get into them. Maybe a little bit of you had a fun idea to rate all the detachments in the game. Johnny, do you still feel like that's accomplishable?
Not after hearing that there's 40 Space Marine detachments. It'd have to be like a year's worth of review.
I had an idea. We just treat it like kind of cash. We set ourselves like timers of like a minute, and we split off all the factions. Like, you get this, I get that. And every detachment gets like 30 seconds to a minute of us being like, Helhunt Lance, great theming, poor execution, could be better with better detachment data sheet, whatever the fuck. C tier. All right, Josh, what have you got? I got Blood Angels.
Or instead of that, we could go through each of the factions, do top 3 and bottom 1.
It's a better idea.
Like top 3 detachments for this faction, and what is the worst?
That's a better idea. I like how you've iterated on your idea so effectively. You must be an Iron Warrior.
We're not quite as limited to the 40 Space Marine. It'd still take us over an hour to get through just Space Marines. That's a whole episode just for them before we even get to any other faction.
Johnny, we could wrap it into slag, but like not very in-depth way. Just wrap it into slag. This is the best way to play them right now.
Man, well, hey, we still need to do end of edition / start of edition slag because it's going to be the same.
Yeah.
So we don't even have to do a new edition slag. We could do it beforehand because...
We could do a beforehand slag.
Yeah, we could do a 10.5 / 11th edition slag. But that's if you want to see that. If you want to see it, let us know. Otherwise, that's a lot of setup for not a lot of gain.
Yeah, slag you later, I guess, then.
That's it. All right, let's wrap it up there, and we will see you next time here on TTP FM.